Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. So this morning, y'all, I got my paper towel. I have spilled coffee. This is gonna be my single mom chat. I haven't done one in a little while, so I'm gonna do one now. And this one's gonna be talking about a topic that I hold very near and dear to my heart because it's a personal issue, and it is about toxic parents, toxic family, toxic relationships, all of that. And guys, I made an absolute mess with my coffee. Y'all know coffee, morning time. And I had it on the coaster, so that's what's like I was doing too much. But anyway, what I want to talk about is simply this. Mothers and daughters. That's where I'm going to start at first because that's one that I am very, very, very familiar with. Mothers and daughters. 1 minute. Y'all, I'm looking for my glasses. I can't see. And I know I had them because I went to work yesterday and I had them. Well, I had them yesterday morning. So somehow, some way. Okay, let's get into it. Okay. So this. Mothers and daughters have there are mothers and daughters who have dysfunctional relationships, toxic relationships, just like there are, women with daddy issues. There are women with mom issues and not dad issues, or they may have issues with both. But in my case, and what I can tell you from what I've been seeing, so here's what I've been seeing. I have been on social media, namely Instagram. On Instagram and YouTube, I've been seeing a lot of celebrities with very toxic mother and daughter relationships. That being said, you see Tokyo Tony and Black China. You see Queen Naija and her sister and her mom and her brother who have a very toxic dynamic. I am very familiar with that. As I told you guys in past videos that I would talk more about my relationship with my mom. And so I can only speak from this standpoint, and I will go with what I know. When my grandmother was raising me, she always made it known that I was never to call my mom by her name. I was never to openly outright disrespect my mom. It would not be tolerated. But I was free to express my thoughts and feelings regarding my mom. I was never sheltered in that area. I'm still not sheltered when it comes to expressing how I feel to my mom or my dad. I'm very open so much so to you would think I was talking to like a stranger, because that's just how open I am with them. And they've come to terms with the fact that this is who I am and this is just what it is. When I tell you guys, literally, I am straight, no chaser, no filter. It's coming out. What comes up, comes out. And my parents understand that. So with my mom, growing up, having a mother who was addicted to drugs, addicted to fast living, just doing too much too soon, it was a strain on my relationship with her. And that was because I knew the history of our dysfunction probably stems back from probably childbirth, because the actual factual is that my mom had my brother prior to having me, meaning my brother, like I told you guys previously, he was 5 years older than me. Okay. So she had a near mental breakdown, ended up in a psychiatric unit, and my brother went home with my grandmother. My brother, she would not touch my brother. And Of course, that created some issues with him because I don't think he ever really bonded with her like you're supposed to when you have a child. And then you have my aunts, which I had 3 aunts and 4 uncles. All of them had a hand in raising my brother. My mother hardly ever had my brother. Reason being, she had my brother when she was 16, which meant she got pregnant, I think, when she was 15, and had him when she was 16. And so shortly thereafter, you would think that if you had this child early, you wouldn't be in a hurry to have another one. So 5 years later, she's 21. Fast forward, she now has a different baby daddy, which is my dad. And she's never been married. And she has me. Same difference, except she did touch me. She didn't just completely leave me, but she had another meltdown, and she took care of me alongside my grandmother up until I was 6 months old. And then she disappeared. Okay, from 6 months until I was 5 years, my mother was like in and out, in and out. She was either in jail, in the streets, in and out, in and out, in and out. Time after time, we would accept her back into the house. We'd ask for her. At this time, I'm still little, so I want my mom. And she decided that she had went to jail and she was going to come home. She was going to do what she needed to do. Great. So again, still little, she comes home. And I remember it very clearly, like it happened. And that's how you have to be mindful of how you mark your children when they're small, because they still remember. If you think they don't, you'll be surprised at what they remember. I can remember things that people will be like, how you still remember it? Because if it's monumental to them, if it is something that they has affected them emotionally, they're going to remember it. Unless they've built a mental block to prevent them from it, which it can only be released if they go through therapy and go through a bunch of cognitive therapies and stuff to get it back. But I didn't create a block. I allowed myself to. One thing I've always allowed myself is to feel. And to feel everything. I told you guys before, I'm an empath. I feel everything and everything strongly. So I have to protect my energy. But that's not what I did as a child, of course. That's something I learned later on. But again, very forgiving, very loving as a child. So when my mom came home, we had waited all night. She didn't come as scheduled. Once she got released, of course she made pit stops to the very same lifestyle that she was supposed to be recovering from. And so she made that pit stop, and she did finally arrive home. It's time for us. We had like a welcome home dinner. It was me and my brother had made cards and banners and all kinds of foolishness. And she comes home finally. And we all get ready to go to sleep. Of course, she comes in my room because I was a baby and she would sleep in my room. And when she came home and it was bedtime, I just remember I sleep very lightly. So if someone moves, I know. And she started moving and fumbling around in the dark in my room. And I asked her, I said, Mommy, where are you going? She was like, go back to sleep. I'll be right back. I'm coming right back. And I begged her, no, please don't leave us. And this, that, and the third, because growing up without a mom it affects a child. Believe it or not, it affects a child greatly. Yeah, a dad could leave, but a mom, as long as you have your mom, you feel a sense of comfort. You feel something that you wouldn't feel even if it was a dad. So yeah, she just dipped off, never to be seen again until days later, strung out on crack or cocaine or whatever drug she was using this time, and living the street life. And so after that, Needless to say, that is something that created like a trust issue for me, because I couldn't trust people. I had to take people at face value because of my mom. And there, that started it. Like I've never had a bond with her to where growing up, I don't know anything about my mom. Like I know the basic stuff. I know her birth date. I know where she was born. I know who she is now. I know, like little things I knew from stories that my grandmother told. My grandmother, one thing she did do is always keep my mother in the loop about what was going on with me and my brother. And my mother would keep an eye on us. That's one thing I will say, because she was so well known. Plus my family was very well known in the area that we lived in, because it was so many of my aunts and uncles. Everybody knew them or knew of them. And so my mom always had her ear to the ground, and kind of knew what me and my brother was dipping and dabbing in and getting into, even though she wasn't there, because people would see us and they would know us, but we wouldn't know who they were. Because that's just how deep the ties were in, with my family and stuff. They knew people we didn't know, like, so yeah. And my toxicity didn't start with her until I found out, like, you're a serial liar, you're stuck in an addiction. As I became a teenager, things start coming to me. I remember being 10 years old and having to go to a psychotherapist and get a prescription because I had developed insomnia. And I would not go to sleep. I would just stay up all night watching TV in my thoughts. And I would like literally be up until it was time for me to go to school. I never would fall asleep in school. That never happened. I just literally would be up. So they gave me a medication, and till this day, I can't remember what it was, but it was a sleeping medication. All I know is that taking a psychotropic med as a 10 to 12-year-old was horrible for my body, because I ended up gaining weight. I had been very, very little. Like, I'm going to show y'all how little. I was like this big. Literally, like this big. All the way up until I started taking the meds. Once I started taking the meds, I started to gain weight. And so it was because of my mother. Deep down inside, I was aggravated by the fact that we didn't know when somebody was going to knock on the door, because drug dealers had previously knocked on the door demanding payment, or they were going to kill her, or she had came up with a hustle and it was something to scare the crap out of my grandmother and grandfather so that they would pay up this money. So I'll never forget, like, my granddad, he was in the military, plus he was a armed guard for Citibank. And he used to work on an armored truck, and he did all of that. So he had a gun, and we kept a gun in the home. A gun has always been in my home. So he went to the door, because it was like, it was in the middle of the morning, and you just hear somebody banging like they getting ready to come in the house. And my grandfather said, "I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are." He said, "I want you to take this money, and if you choose to sell her whatever drug it is that she's on, don't come back, because the next time it's not going to end well." So my grandfather gave him the $250. Okay. She leaves, comes back, At this point, my grandmother, I was upset visibly. My brother was going through his changes because he had just found out that his dad died and no one ever told him. So he never got a chance to meet his dad. He never got a chance to see his dad. Nothing. So the next thing was, it started to affect us psychologically and create behavior issues. Not so much for me. The only behaviors I was exhibiting at that time was just the insomnia. And I was very withdrawn and borderline, like, I just really became introverted at that point. I really turned inward because it was just like, at an early age, you learn who you can trust and who you can't. And so my mother was never one that I trusted. And that's sad because, like, you would think that the person that who birthed you, you would have that with. Nope, I did not. Now, as I got older, things started to progress. She went to jail again, got out again. This time she actually came home. I'll rewind back to when she really started aggravating me. And that's what caused me to have to get the medication. We lived in New York City, and I think our dryer had broke, but we had a backyard in which my grandmother, being from the South, she just hung our clothes on a line. And we also had 2 cars in the backyard that needed to be repaired or whatnot. Growing up, because of my mother's addiction, my grandmother never allowed her to stay in the home unless she was like just coming from jail or whatever. Y'all, I don't know the lighting, sorry. So she came home from jail, and guys, hold on, I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm back. So my mom would stay in the backyard because my grandmother wouldn't let her in the house. So she would sleep in the car in the back. So my grandmother hung out the clothes. Me and my brother would sneak and feed her still. And make sure that she was like back there. But she couldn't come in the house. And it was with good reason. The reason being was, for one, she had stolen all of my brand new clothes off of the clothesline. Then she also had stolen me and my brother's school clothes that my grandmother had just bought. So my grandmother had to go out and rebuy hundreds of dollars worth of clothes. And we're talking back in the late 80s. That's a lot of money. My grandmother used to spend a lot of money on me and my brother. So for you to go and you to steal our school clothes, like, for real? And I was like, I had diamond earrings. I had an aunt who, again, me and my brother were very well loved as children. So, and then most people can tell you about my aunt and how she was about me and my brother. Like, we had more than the average child, even though we didn't have a mother or a father who were actually like around all the time. So my aunt had bought me some diamond earrings when I got my ears pierced, and they were 1-carat studs. And my mom had came in. My grandmother had let her come in to go to the restroom and to eat or whatever. And my mother saw me laying on the couch. I was asleep. Do you know she went and took my earrings out my ear while I was asleep and sold my earrings? This is when her and my aunt fell out. My aunt was livid. Again, back in the late 80s, early 90s, you know how much a carat, a diamond was in my ear? And my aunt was pissy to the point where she was like, I'm going to look for her. She was like, and if I find her, I'm going to beat her ass. She was like, about stealing this girl earrings. So of course my aunt did not go and buy me any more of the diamonds because of like she had a jeweler that she dealt with. So my aunt was like, no, I'm not going to get any more. She was like, I'll just go get you some other earrings. So she went and got me some other earrings, which was like these. But what she had to do was go behind my ear. Once they were secured, she went behind my ear with some pliers and twisted the back part so it would make it difficult for my mom to ever try to take them out my ear again. Sad foolishness, you hear? Sad foolishness, just pure foolery that you would want to do things like that to your child. So next thing was, we had an uncle who was in the military and he married our aunt. And when we were born, y'all, this gonna blow y'all mind. When I was born, as well as when my brother was born, my mother received multiple savings bonds for me and my brother. He also gave us a rare coin collection, and it was like he collected coins from all over the world and he put them in this, it was a case. I had a case, my brother had a case, and we had the savings bonds. My grandmother kept them locked away. The reason being was they were supposed to mature over time so that when it was time for me to go to college and my brother to go to college, if that's what he chose to do, they would cash them out and sell the coins for whatever they were worth and get the money and pay our tuitions. She sold everything. Every freaking thing. So there goes the college fund. So yeah. Then it was, as I got older, I was 14. I'll never forget the next time she came home. I had just went and got a brand new Columbia jacket. Back when Columbia jackets was hot, and y'all know them hoes was expensive. I had the one that zipped with the lining. All of them came with the lining inside, but mine was more like a bomber jacket. It wasn't the 3/4. I later, after what happened, I ended up with the 3/4 length one with the hood. But prior to, I had a blue one that was kind of like a bomber, and it had the inside and all that, and it was blue because blue is my favorite color. So sis came. It was winter time. She had just got out of jail, and in the middle of the night, once again, she wants to leave. Sis, you free to leave. You leave and you take my brand new jacket, and I gotta go to school. Granted, I had other jackets, but that ain't the point. I hadn't even really worn that jacket to school. Like, I had a plan for that jacket because I had matching boots. I had a whole outfit to go with this. So, like, sis, you really went in there and took my jacket. So, when I tell you I was sick to my stomach, I was so hurt. And I told my grandmother. That's when the anger started to build. I told my grandmother, I said, I'm old enough now. I said, now understand. I said, but if I see my mother, I legit will fight her. I will fight my mother about this jacket because my granddad worked too hard and whatnot for me and my brother to have whatever we wanted and stuff like that. And so for her to go and take the jacket, I understood that then. Like, for you to go take the jacket, something wrong with you. Like, what's wrong? What? Addiction is a hell of a thing, but so is toxicity. So she was like out in the streets for like 2 days and came and brought my jacket back. I told my grandmother, I wish like hell. And I didn't say those words, but I was like, I wish I would put that jacket on, Grandma. I was like, ain't no way. I was like, I have to get a new jacket. I said, she can have it. I gave her the jacket. You can keep this jacket. I'm not about to wear it. I said, it stinks. I said, it's been all in the street. I was like, no, it stinks and I don't want it. I was like, just let her keep it. And that's when my disgust level with my mother reached its peak. So then after that happened, my cousin had came to the house, and once again, my grandmother let her back in, and my cousin came to the house. Now, my cousin didn't have it like how I did. Like, my cousin legit was a freaking slave for his mom, for real, because he had to do everything because his mom worked and whatnot. And when I say literally do everything, he helped raise his sister in the whole 9 yards. So he was used to cleaning and doing all this stuff. Like, we had a housekeeper and stuff. So I didn't, whatever. So the housekeeper would do that. After we got older, we didn't have to do that. When we was younger, we used to have to clean and stuff. But my cousin did the dishes, and because I sat the dishes upright instead of turning them down to drain, my mother did this. Oh, you know how to do some dishes, don't you, boy? Kesha don't know how to do. Now, what I got to do with it? So I had got mad, and I walked out, and I went out on the back, and I was smoking a cigarette. Yes, y'all, I was 14. I was on the back smoking a cigarette because she had done got on my nerves so bad. And I was out there smoking. And I was like, sis, grandma know I smoke. I was like, so go tell her. I said, because she going to tell you the same thing she told me. If you want to die from lung cancer like your granddad did, then keep smoking. Or you can stop smoking. She was like, but it's your choice. It's your life. You decide what you going to do. Oh, man, y'all. I dropped my coffee. But after that, she went and something she said about her being my mother. And that's all it took, y'all. Everything I ever thought about her, everything I ever felt, everything she had ever did. When I tell you, I snapped. That was the first time I realized how much anger I had been holding in. And y'all, before I knew it, I was cleaning and cutting greens for my grandmother to cook while she was out with my aunt. They had went to the store. And my mother, while I was cutting greens and cursing her out, literally just telling her all about herself, I don't know what she said. I can't remember. But she said something. And I was like, I had the knife. I was like, I'll kill you. Like, do you know that I will kill you? I was like, because you don't mean nothing to me. I was like, yeah, you my mother, but you don't mean nothing to me. So that was the first time that I was like, whew, okay, this relationship is very, very toxic. And I knew then that I had to limit my interactions with my mother because each time they would escalate, I was getting older. And it was starting to be less and less that my mother could say to me because she never had a good word to say. She didn't speak life into her children. If anything, she used to try to tear us down. She used to try to pit us against each other. That's another thing that she would do. Whenever she was in the house, like, she would praise my brother and tear me down. She'd talk about me to my brother, then come talk about my brother to me, and she would pit us against each other. Why would you want to do that? And having her in the home, it always felt like she was more of the sister or a cousin, because she surely didn't parent. She was nothing like a parent. She was like having a sister or a child in the house. It was horrible. I got to a point where I just didn't speak. I just walked past her and don't say nothing. And my grandmother was like, you can't do that. She was like, you can't do that here. Like, you see her, you speak. Like, my grandmother was a stickler for this. And when my grandmother and I would have our talks, I used to always be like, Grandma, how could you forgive her for all the stuff that she done took you through? I was like, the girl been a problem since she was born, probably. I was like, you done had more interactions. Like, my mother had done so much so much, but I didn't understand a mother's love. A mother's gonna love you despite in all your dysfunction. They're gonna forgive you. They're gonna let you keep coming back. I didn't understand that then, but I do now as a mother. But y'all, sis started, as I got, like I said, as I started getting older, what came up came out. Everything. Anytime she was around me, I used to be like, what are you talking about? You can't talk about nobody. Like, you are, no, you don't have room to talk about nobody. And you need to be quiet when it comes to parenting, because you never raised now one of yours. And so, then I was, my grandmother died. Once my grandmother died, going to her was never an option. It was never in the stars. Never, because my grandmother had legal guardianship. Now, my grandmother would not adopt us. Neither did my granddad. So when they died, me and my brother were not eligible for military benefits because they had never adopted us. My grandmother left legal guardianship in place in case my mother ever came back and got herself together and wanted us. She wouldn't have had to fight as hard as if there was an adoption in place. So she still had some of her rights to get us back if she ever cleaned herself up. Never happened. Because when I was 6 years old, sis was, I had gotten really, really sick. I don't remember. I was running 105-degree fever, and I was rushed in the emergency room. That's when I had a febrile seizure. And they were like, we have to find her mother, because at this time my grandmother didn't have documentation for us. It was then, once I got sick, that my grandmother put that legal guardianship in place. So they had to go wake up a family court judge in the middle of the night to sign a temporary legal guardianship document so that my grandmother could make decisions regarding my health care, because my aunts and my uncles were tearing the streets up looking for my mom, because they said that there was a chance that I would die if they could not get the fever down, and they couldn't treat me because my grandmother didn't have, you know, legal guardianship. She wasn't able to make any medical decisions. So they couldn't find her. So the judge signed the order, and my grandmother did the consent for treatment, and they rushed me. I don't remember very much that happened, other than when I did wake up, I was in the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 7 days. And I had an allergic reaction to the medication that they had gave me when I went for a sickness previously. It was like they gave me some Benadryl, and I had a reaction to it. And it was awful. Awful, awful, awful. I ended up in, like I said, the hospital for 7 days. In those 7 days, my mother never once came to see me. My grandmother was there, and my aunts were there. Day in and day out, they were there. My grandmother only ever went home, I think, one time in the 7 days, and that was to get all the stuff that she was going to need, because she wasn't leaving my side. And so, yeah, that's how she got guardianship of me, because I was deathly ill, and they needed to treat me. But going forward, again, my grandmother has passed away at this time, and my mother's locked up. It's time for her funeral. It's time for the viewing of the body and whatnot. And my mother, we have to go through all these channels of contacting the ward of the correctional facility, making transportation arrangements, and trying to get all this stuff together so that she could see my grandmother. What happened was, she ended up having to come before everybody else got there. She was handcuffed, and they escorted her in, and she was able to view my grandmother's body. I was sitting there, and I just remember thinking, this is not how you should be in attendance of your mom's funeral. Like, this is not how this was supposed to happen or whatever. And I was like, this just, made no sense to me. And needless to say, she went back to jail. And you would think that that would be an eye-opener, because at this point, your dad's dead, your mom's dead, and your children are out here. Granted, Sean was 20 turning 21. He would be 21 3 months later. So Sean is older. So not so much him, but okay, you still have a teenage daughter. I would think that you would have pieced it together. No, that didn't happen. So I told you guys about what happened with my uncle having raised me, or not raised me, but was just a body. And yeah, so I told you about how I got pregnant from there, and the things that she would say. Every interaction was always negative. It was always horrible. And what happened was, she ended up, at this time, I've had Michael, and she gets released from jail. And what happened was, I tried to tell her that my uncle was not doing what he was supposed to do. I had already got into a fight with my uncle's girlfriend, in which she told me she was going to beat me like my grandmother never did. One thing about it, you're not going to put your hands on me. I'm not, I'm a child, but I'm about 2 years away from being 18. Like, sis, you're not going with nothing over here. And then my godmother had to come around and was like, this is dead wrong. Her grandmother just died, and y'all acting like this and treating her like this. So my mother didn't believe me. And that's what prompted all of the nastiness. She told me that I was lying on her brother. Like, sis, I'm not lying on your brother. Nothing I said was a lie. I told the absolute truth. So when she got out of jail and she thought she was going to go home to my grandmother's house, at this time I had to move out. I was living with my son's father. At this time, she thought she was going to go to that house and stay or whatever. Child, they treated her like she was still an inmate in the facility. And she saw that I wasn't lying after they did her the very same way. And she ended up back out in the streets or whatever. So now I have my son. It's almost a year later, and I'm at my aunt's house. It's my very first Mother's Day. So my cousin, it was my 3 cousins, my aunt, and me, and my other little cousins. We all were at the house having dinner. And of course, here comes my mother on Mother's Day, feeling entitled. Entitled to what, sis? A happy Mother's Day. I told you that. She holds my, son, and she meets him for the first time. And yeah, so here we are. Y'all, no sooner than we got done eating, it's time for everybody to start parting ways. Here she comes with her antics. She falls out in the middle of the street in front of the house. We have to call the ambulance on Mother's Day to escort her to the hospital. She goes into the hospital, and they keep her psychiatric, always on the psych ward. Always. Every time, you'll hear me talk about later on, every time ends up on the psych ward, every single time. So this time she's on the psych ward, and I reach out to the social worker. Now at this point, I'm 18. So I'm telling her, hey, okay, what's the plan for my mom? She has real bad addiction. She needs to get into a program. She needs a place to stay. I'm in foster care at this time. um, with my son. Now we're in foster care, literally, but I was in like what they call independent living, where I had my own apartment and I shared with a roommate, and she had a baby, so it was both of us with our babies. And y'all, I talked to a social worker, get arrangements made, secured everything for her, and I'm ripping and running, doing all this for my mother now. And it's because my grandmother made me make a promise. She told me that there would come a time that my mother would need me, and for me to go to her and never to refuse her. Go to her and forgive her. See, I didn't understand that forgiveness was for me, not for her. I always thought it was for her. You know, that I would give her the approval to do the same thing that she had always done, which was go back on her word and act a whole fool. No. So I couldn't forgive her. I still had that built up. Now, the day comes where she's supposed to be discharged, and I'm headed up there. I get up there, and they tell me that she signed herself out. AMA, against medical advice. She signs herself out. They was trying to keep her, but they couldn't. So she signed herself out, and she was back in the streets. Okay, I leave from there. I go pick up my son. At no point in time did I realize that I was sick. At no point in time did I realize this. I pick up my son, and I'm walking up the stairs to the apartment. I got to the top of the stairs and passed out. When I came to, I crawled to the phone and called 911 and got in the ambulance and went to the hospital. When I got there, they told me that I had walking pneumonia, but it had progressed because I didn't know I was sick, because I was so distracted, ripping and running. I was going to college, I was working, and I was taking care of my son and trying to tend to my mom. So I never paid any attention that I was ill. And I ended up in the hospital again, another 7 days. At this time now, my dad has gotten his soul completely together. He's going to church. He's cleaned up his life. And he comes. Him and my grandmother comes to the hospital and stay with me until I get discharged or whatever. My dad, takes me to get my meds, takes me home, picks up my son, and drops him off or whatever. And at no point in time is my mother anywhere to be found. I don't see my mother again. This is 99. I don't see my mother again until 2005 when I'm pregnant with Jalen. She comes to visit. And at this time I'm with his dad. And she sees Justin for the first time. Justin at this time is 4 years old, and she's just now seeing him for the very first time. We had moved to Alabama. We were here, and then we went back because I had such a strong craving for some barbecue chicken, but it was with my aunt. I wanted her to make it. Like, anywhere else wasn't going to get it. My aunt had to make it. So I get up there, and we decide we're going to spend like we stayed up there for like a week. No, almost 2 weeks, because the kids were on Christmas break, and it was like right before Christmas that we were up there. And I see her. She busts out crying. You know why she busts out crying? Because Justin looks exactly like her. And she saw herself. And she bust out crying. So if she had to pick a child that she identifies with, it's Justin. That's the one who, as they got older, I'm gonna tell you about that, how she interacts with him. So while I'm there, it's never a dull moment. She sees that I'm driving my Lexus up there. She's gotten wind that I have money, not just a little. I have a lot of money. So she feels like she's entitled to my money. So she starts being rude, saying things, being rude to my baby daddy, and he never said anything to her and whatnot, because it's a shame that when I introduce people to my mom, I have to do a disclaimer before they meet her, because I never know what she's going to say or how she's going to act or what she's going to do. So I always have to tell people, like, don't mind my mom, like, you don't know what you're going to get. But I'll backtrack, y'all. I forgot the most important thing. Was that when I was 16, I was 14 turning 15. Right after my granddad died, my mom was in jail and she ended up in a coma for 2 days. She apparently, while on Rikers Island in New York, she was in the bathroom and she fell and hit her head on a commode, and it ruptured an aneurysm that was on her brain from using drugs. When it ruptured, she lost consciousness, and just so happens that her cellmate was in there or somewhere nearby and started CPR. Had that lady not started CPR on her, my mother would have been dead. That's what the ambulance worker said. It was that CPR that saved her. And they took her to the hospital, and so then they did brain surgery on her. Of course, they had to shave her bald, and of course, all of us are there. When she came out of her coma, I had been there the whole entire time. The first words out of her mouth was, "Where's Sean?" She kept asking for him, and Sean was like, "I ain't going." Sean was like, "No." Or whatever. And I think maybe right before she got discharged, he went and saw her. But Sean was like, "No, I ain't going." Meanwhile, I was there every day, but that's neither here nor there. But so then that's when we started finding out that if she was ever to use drugs, they said at any given time she could die if she chose to go back to using drugs. So clearly we thought that she would stop. Nope. Same old, same old. So now, like I said, we're in New York, and that's why I give people a disclaimer, because she has chemical imbalances. She has brain issues now. Like, now it's just problematic all the way around, and she's still stuck in her addiction, and you can't get her to stop. So this is horrible. And she's on prescription meds. Child, it's a mess, just a whole mess. But she's very toxic, and so she starts to feel entitled to my money. The first day, I consulted with my baby daddy, like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go give her like $50 or $100. So my baby daddy goes to the bank. He takes out the money and he brings it to me, and I give it to her. She looks at the money like, "That's it?" I got 1, 2, and 1 in my belly. What do you, and I have a whole entire place down in Alabama, and I'm going to school. Like, what, in this car, like, my car was paid for, but shit, I still got to pay insurance on it. Like, I got bills. What you mean? Is that it? Like, y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all. But She was tripping with no map, y'all. Then she came back the next day. I told her, I said, listen, enough is enough. Every day that I'm here, I'm not issuing any money to you. That's not going to happen. You're going to get what I give you, and that's it. I'm not doing it. So she got an attitude and left. Okay, you'll be okay. We ain't see her for the rest of my visit. I'm good. I like it like that. Thank you. So then, like I said, the next time I see her, the next time after 2005, let me see. $2015. Next time I see her is June 2015. Here's what happened. In May 2015, it was every day. I was on my way home from work, and my cell phone rings. And it's a New York number, which is random because in 2015, my aunt had passed away. She's the only one that I talked to in New York. So I thought maybe can't be anybody but her, my mother. And it's from a hospital. So I called and I'm like, hey, did someone call KeshaMBannister? I'm just returning your call. And so the lady's like, yeah, I did. Okay. Your mother is here with me. I said, she's in the psych ward again? Yes. I said, oh, okay. I said, how can I help you? So the lady was like, well, she doesn't have anywhere to go. I said, stop. She can't come here. I said, my mother's very toxic. She cannot. Everything that she puts her hand on, everywhere that she goes, she ruins everything. No, she can't come. I said, I have young children who are very impressionable. They're very kind. They're very loving, and they don't understand. They've never really interacted with her, so they don't know her. I said, yes, she can't come here. I said, but she got a son. Did she tell you about her son? Well, yeah, but she's not wanting to go with her son. Okay, but why? Whenever something happens, she know my number. She won't call Sean. When it go down, like if something major go down, she's always going to call my number first. She'll never call him. She'll call me. But when it's something, when she being messy, she going to call him and then talk about me to him after I done saved her. And then when he does something, she'll call me and tell me about him. So now we've gotten to a point in our situation where we don't do that. We cut her off at the pass. Sis, end the conversation. I don't even want to hear it. Like, no, don't tell me nothing about him and don't tell him nothing about me. Plain and simple. So it took my brother years to get to that level with her. And he's 42. It took him that long to get to that point with her. But me, years ago. So sis calls again. This the caseworker calling again. Lady, I was like, you just determined to make me take my mama. I said, listen, here's what's going to happen. I said, she can come down here. I said, but she need to understand that there's consequences and there are rules that she'll need to follow here. And if she can't follow them, she'll need to stay where she's at. And I explained what they were. She said, well, she's agreeing to them. I said, yeah, she'll tell you that till she get here and she'll show her ass. And so, again, no one listened. Didn't listen at all. And she comes, I pick her up. She's sizing everything up. I knew from the gate she was sizing everything up. Now, when I seen her, having not seen my mother, having lost, relatives and things like that, you would think that the interaction would be, oh, hey, mom, how you doing? Or, hey, Kesha, I ain't seen you in a while. Hug, a kiss on the cheek, something. No. Get her bags and put them in the trunk. I was like, here we go. Indicator number 1. That was the first one. Now we get in my vehicle. She's sizing me up. She assessing the vehicle. She doing, the kids were at the house. She just looking and monitoring everything. I see her taking it all in. So I drive to the house. She actually gets to meet, at this time, she gets to meet Tiana, who she's never seen. And she's immediately in love with Tootie. Then she meets the boys again. She gets to see Jalen for the first time. Loves Jalen too. And so she comes in, she cleaning and doing all the stuff around the house, and she's sleeping on my sofa and yada, yada, yada. And I am at this time dating a guy who, of course, child, let me tell you about me. I'm dating a guy. When I date somebody, I pay attention to behaviors and stuff like that. So if somebody is not good, I know who they are. If I keep them around, I keep them around because I want them around, not because I'm so enamored with them that I have to have. That's not what that is. Okay, anyway. So my mother does not like the guy. One day, she's on the phone arguing with her husband, boyfriend, fool up in New York. And he was supposed to have sent her $100. So because she's dysfunctional in her way, she feels like I'm supposed to give her money for cigarettes, beer, and whatever else she wants. I told her, I said, baby, I don't do all that. I don't support habits like that. No. But she sees my interaction with the guy I'm talking to. Y'all, this lady done told me, you don't cook, you don't clean up this house. I do everything around here. And that nigga that you messing with, I said, what he got to do with the price of rice in China, honey? I say, anybody that's in my circumference, anybody that's in my atmosphere is there because I allow them to breathe my air because I want them to, not because I have to have them here. Don't ever get that twisted. That's not a mandatory thing for me. So when I'm dating the guy, she just does not like him because she feels like she can't manipulate me the way she thinks she can. Little do she know, I wasn't the little girl that she was used to. I had even gotten even more. I've grown, which is what you're supposed to do. And when you grow and become more aware, you start to smell bullshit a mile away. And you know how to handle it when it comes your way. So when she gets started, I said, listen, I said, let me make something clear to you. I work. I pay the cost to be the boss in this house. I said, you are a guest in my home. I said, you don't get to tell me what to do. I am not a child. I have children. I said, now, your opportunity to do all of this has passed. I said, you now have the opportunity to be more productive and more engaging with your grandchildren. Not with me. Okay? And I need you to conduct yourself as though you are a guest in my home. I said, don't come in trying to take over because you cannot do it and I will not allow it. I said, either you follow my rules or you can get out. She got started screaming and yelling in front of my children. I said, this is where I stop you. I said, pack your stuff. I said, I don't know where you're going to go, but you got to get out. I said, because this shit is getting started. I ain't going nowhere until I want to go. Oh, but sis, that's not how this works. I called the sheriff to ask him to remove her from my home. And here in Alabama, you know, there's that whole, if you allow them to reside for more than 7 days, you have to go through legal channels to get them out. Not gonna happen. I'm not going through all that to get her out my home. So I just don't say anything to her. I go to work, I come home, I don't even speak to her. Period. And she's on the phone talking to my aunt that lives in Alaska. And my aunt that lives in Alaska is like, well, y'all need to make up and this, that, and the third. And I'm telling my aunt, I said, you know your sister better than anybody. You've been dealing with her just as long as I have. I said, and you know that once this gets started, it's not going to end well. So don't tell me, let her come stay with you if that's the case. I said, because she was given options of relatives to call. She chose to call me. I said, you her sister. She should be able to come stay with you. Nammy. So, my aunt was like, no, she can't come here. I said, so don't tell me then to let her in my home and let her do whatever she want to do here. No. So you would think that that would have been the end of it. Nope. Sis decided, oh, I'm going to, let's have a talk. So I sit down and I listen to her. I said, your problem is you don't want to follow rules. I said, that's been your problem all your life. I said, and you also think that I am a child. Yes, you had me, but I am no longer a child. I work. I take care of 3, 4 children by myself. I was like, I am in this house by myself. I said, you cannot tell me who to date. You can't tell me what to do. I said, whoever I choose is because I choose. I don't need you to tell me anything. I don't need you to tell me nothing about nobody I date. So we made amends. At the same time, she like, oh, I got plans. We could do this to this house. This, no. If I wanted to do those things, I would. Don't take it upon yourself to do anything. Don't make any changes to my house. Don't make plans for my house. And I told her that. I said, what I want you to do is get yourself situated financially so that you can then move and go get into your own place. I said, because me and you under the same roof, it's not going to work. So that was a week. That's week 1. Everything was calm for about a couple of days. Now we in week 2. She kept asking my boys for the number to their dad. And I kept saying, why is this lady wanting the number to my boy's dad? And I told them boys, I said, don't give her that number. I said, she has no business with your dad. And she shouldn't be interacting with your dad like that. So I knew nothing good would come of it. When you know people and you know their behaviors, you know that it's where there's smoke, there's fire. There was something brewing. She was already mad because I tried to put her out. And instead of my mother treating me like a normal person, she always has to move like she in the street. So in order to beat her at her own game, I have to think like a street person, like I'm in the streets. So I have to handle her like I would handle somebody in the street. I can't handle her. She doesn't respond to positivity. The only thing she understands is negative reactions. But I've done it in a way to where I'll cut her off. I just won't speak to her. So what happens is she starts plotting on the guy I'm dating. She calls up my kid's dad and tells him that my boyfriend beat my kids and I ain't say nothing, and he beat them completely up. And next thing I know, I hear the phone ring and I hear her on the end. Excuse me. I pick up the phone very gently and quietly, and I'm listening. yeah, you need to come get these kids because she ain't doing nothing with them. She letting that man beat on the kids, and yup, you should come get them. Yeah, I'm gonna give you all the information that you need so you can go and try to get custody of these kids. Oh yeah. By this time, I'm thinking my boys are outside. She lets them leave with their aunt without telling me. I said, who told you to let them go? And then I told her, I said, and you think I didn't hear you on the phone with Virgil? Like, you think I didn't hear you plotting and planning? I said, get your shit and get out my house. I said, that's what you do. I said, because all you do is stir up shit. Get your shit and go, man. And then I took my phone and I disconnected all my phones and I put them in my room. So if you want to call somebody, you're going to have to walk to a payphone, or you're going to have to borrow somebody's phone, because you're not using my phone to disrespect me, to plot and plan with my baby daddy to get custody of my children. Who does that? What breed of mother are you? I said, your mother never would have did no shady stuff like that. I said, she always had your best interests at heart, especially where your children were concerned. So that's when it gets started. She comes in my bedroom. I'll never forget. She comes running in my bedroom and give me the phone. I said, I pay the bill. No, ma'am, you can't have this phone. So she went to go. I had I think that's a 53-inch. Okay, I had a TV the same size, and it was sitting up. And I told the dude I was talking to, I said, she going to break that TV. I said, don't let her get my TV. So he blocked away. And she couldn't break my TV because that was the first thing. I knew it was coming. She couldn't break my TV. So she flipped over my shelf with my printer and my computer. She leaves out. By this time, I'm already on the phone calling the sheriff to come because I know she's getting ready to tear up my house. I'm in the room sitting down to keep from saying anything. And I hear my coffee pot break. I hear my soda stream dropping, my microwave go tumbling. And that's when I come out the house, come out my bedroom down the hall. I said, oh, shit. I said, you fucking up my house where I paid for this stuff in here. I said, you got me fucked up. So at this point, my oldest son, Michael, is 16. Michael was like, I wouldn't do that. He was like, don't break nothing else. And I know my son is very protective. I said, move, Mike, move. I said, because if she swing, if she do anything, I said, I'm going to kill her in here. And I told him, I said, move. So Mike couldn't take the fact that she was tearing up all the stuff in my house. And I let her. Y'all, I let her. I ain't try to stop her because I knew how I was going to handle her. See, sometimes you have to outthink some people sometimes. I knew how I was going to handle her. So she tearing up my kitchen. I'm talking about she wreaking havoc in my kitchen. And I think I still have the pictures. I might post the pictures. I don't know. But she is wreaking hell in my house. She flipping everything over, tearing up stuff. I said, oh, you having a fit in here? I said, man, get the fuck out my house. I said, I ain't telling you no more. Get the fuck out my house. So I'm outside. She steps outside, and I come outside to wait for the police. She gonna say, and you fucking called the police on me after you begged me to come here? I didn't beg you to come anywhere. Since you forgot that social worker, she literally was telling people that I begged her to come down here. I never wanted you down here. You better call that social worker and ask her. I said, because I never wanted her down there. So, y'all, I'm out there, and my little girl, Tootie, at this time is It's 2015, so she's like 4 or 5. Let me tell y'all. I had my hair out. My mother grabbed me by my hair, and Tiana started screaming. And I told her, I said, go back in the house, baby. I said, I'm okay. I promise you I'm okay. And my mother proceeds to punch me, or what she thought was a punch, in my face. And I'm screaming at Tiana, I'm okay. So, of course, I'm not showing no reaction, because if I react, it's going to scare her. So I'm not stressing it. She got a grip on my hair. I'm letting her. I ain't saying nothing. So at this time, the dude I'm talking to comes running out. And he was like, hey, man. He was like, let her go. I said, don't put your hands on her. I said, because the minute you put your hands on her, she going to swear to God, you beat her ass. I said, don't touch her. I said, stay away. I said, I got this. So she still got her hands in my hair, pulling my hair. And I'm just letting her. I ain't doing nothing. Because 2 reasons why. Make it 3. 1, she's still my mother. 2, my daughter is watching. And 3, if I would have put my hand on her, she would have had me locked up. And that's what she was trying to do. So when you know that someone is trying to get you in a certain way, you don't give them what they want. You understand? Because you let it play out, because it's going to always work in your favor. Don't give somebody what they want. If they want you to get mad, don't react. That's your best reaction, is no reaction. So the whole while, I have always been a forward thinker. So where people thinking about what's going on now, I'm seeing what you're doing months ahead of time. And so she had been brewing jealousy. Let me tell y'all about that. So when the police come, it's 2 of us, make that 3. But by this time, it has negatively affected my son. So he has ran to his uncle's house in the middle of the night, y'all. I'm freaking out because I don't know where my son at. She gonna tell the cop, I did all that damage that's in my house. I said, no, sir. I said, and she assaulted me in front of my child. I said, I don't play like that. I said, now, if this was another day, and this could have played out a whole nother way when it comes to her. I said, I asked y'all to remove her from my home 2 weeks ago. I said, and y'all told me I couldn't. I said, but I knew that this was going to happen. I said, so now I'm asking that you all lock her up. I pressed charges on her. Sure did. And I got restitution. And I asked that the court do a thing where she can't contact me. But the judge was like, no, because you got her grandchildren, I'm not going to grant that. She was like, and this is mother and daughter. She was like, no, I'm not going to. I said, okay. So she stayed in jail. I lost contact with her. Fast forward to 2017. Forgiveness. I'm growing. I'm evolving as a woman, as a mother. I'm understanding certain things. So I'm understanding that she has a lot of things going on with her mentally. I'm understanding that she has a lot of stuff going on where she's stuck in the same age she was when she had my brother. Her growth stopped when she had my brother. Period. My mother is literally stuck at the age of 16. She moves like a 16-year-old. She just acts, and she's worrisome and troublesome like a 16-year-old. And so I attempt to repair the relationship once again. I call her up. I tell her I'm going to bring the kids. You know, I want more for my kids. So I want my kids to know their grandparents. I want them to, you know, have that those memories. Those memories are important to me for my children. But I knew, and I've always kept in the back of my mind, how dysfunctional my mother was. And so that was always in the back of my head. And so, again, I let my children see. I lead by example, that sometimes you have to humble yourself and you go and you be the bigger person. So I went to my mom. We talked, whatever. And At this point in time, I see the jealousy still there. I don't understand how you could be jealous of your child, but then I understood when you feel like your child has exceeded you in life, has done more, or is everything that you wished you were at that time, and has broken more boundaries and barriers than you have, maybe it does create jealousy, especially if you're stuck at the age of 16 when you had your first child. So that's what you're looking at. But you don't know the struggle for your child to get there. You don't remember, all the things that happened because you wasn't there. So back to her, that's the jealousy part. Sometimes, and this is what I teach my children, sometimes people will hate you for everything that you are and everything that you are not. If you are not like them, they're going to hate you. If you have more, you are more, you're doing more, you're trying to be more, they're going to hate you. Blood does not change that. And people have this ideology that because blood will keep you tied to people who are very unhealthy for you. Let that blood stuff go, because sometimes strangers are more your family, and you identify more with strangers than you ever would the people whose blood flows through your veins. Don't let somebody bound you by blood. Don't let parents have you feeling guilty. Like my mother pulls guilt trips to make me feel like I owe her. What do I owe you for, and when is it going to be up? Because you still feel that way, and I'm like going on 40 years old. You shouldn't still feel that way, sis. I shouldn't owe you. I shouldn't have to, if I go to the store to buy me something, I shouldn't have to go buy you something unless it's what I want to. And then you're ungrateful. So let me tell you what I did. When I first went to her house, this apartment that she had, it's in the projects, y'all. Now, my mother we have never lived in the projects. We've never lived in an apartment. Well, no, I think they may have, but I hadn't until I became an adult, but never the projects. So anyway, not that it's nothing wrong, but that's just not how we grew up. Anyway, so she goes, and and I'm gonna say this, I don't know who I will offend, and if I do, it's not coming from a bad place, I promise you. But sometimes people develop, not all people, but some people develop project mentality, meaning they got that crabs in a barrel syndrome. As long as we all down, we can get along, or we all gonna be miserable together. Like it's a mind trick that they deal with. And so my mother's, of course, she thrives in an environment like that. She does well because of her streets, the way she is in the streets. And so I see the house, I go in, and I check my mother's cabinets. I check her fridge. You don't have nothing. You got nothing in this fridge, nothing in this. And I ask, how are you surviving? What you mean? Oh, okay, Mom. How are you eating? What you mean? Okay. So I go to the grocery store. Put groceries in her house. I didn't ask her for a dime. And I leave. Okay, come back. It's around Mother's Day this year. Well, not this year, but that year. And I decide we're going to get up and we're going to surprise grandma kids. We going out to eat. I had worked hard. I had a substantial amount of money saved up. I had some stuff going on. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead on and bless her. So I was like, y'all get dressed. We going out to eat, and we going to take grandma some gifts. So I went to Bath and Body Works. I bought a whole big set from Bath and Body Works. Because I knew she needed that stuff. I took toiletries and laundry detergent, paper towel, toilet paper from my house, and took it to her house because I couponed, so I had excess, and I was taking all that stuff over to her house. Finally, somebody who I can really help. Okay. Then I went to the liquor store. I got her a bottle of liquor and a pack of cigarettes. and a card. I made the kids sign it. And so we went, okay, come on, we going to grandma's house. So I get to the house, and I had already told her, I said, Mom, I'm coming to the house. Get ready and be dressed by the time we get there. I pull up, knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door. Finally, she come down. She in her robe, her hair tied up. Ma, didn't I tell you I was coming to get you? What? I don't want to go nowhere. I said, well, here go your gifts then. I was like, I was going to just give them to you when we were at the restaurant. I was like, but I'll just give them to you now. So I gave her the gifts. She reads the card. She opens up see the cigarettes. She see the alcohol. She see the Bath and Body Works basket. Sis gonna say, that's it? Huh? That's it? It's mothers out here that didn't get that. And you said that's it? What did your son send you? Nah, nothing. What did that man you laying up with send you? Nothing. Y'all, I was like, okay. I was like, well, Ma, you have a good day. I was like, I'm going to spend the rest of the day with the kids. So me and the children went to the hibachi restaurant, Sticks, and we ate, had a good time, and went home. I couldn't believe her. I said, the amount of ungrateful. So then me and my best friend, we're at her house, and I kept saying, well, Ma, why you got your hair tied up? I was like, well, she had a quick weave that was like 1,000 years old. I lied to y'all not. That quick weave was like 1,000 years old. So she started, well, can you do something? I said, this is a mess. I said, you need some real stuff. So I gave her $50 to go get like a new wig or something. So that wasn't enough. I come back and I'm saying, Ma, what's wrong? Oh, I need my hair done. Mind you, because my hair done now. I said, well, I'll call the girl that do my hair and have her call. She came and she fixed her quickly. She was like, yeah, I like this. And then you turn around and you call my brother and say, that's why your sister got my hair done. You couldn't even get, what kind of son are you? I said, don't do that. No, ma'am. Don't do that. I said, because for one, my brother is not in the same financial state as I am. I said, and he's trying to get himself together. No, ma'am, you will not tear him down while he's trying to get himself together. How dare you do that? And you know, comparison is a thief of joy. Don't do that to someone. If they are genuinely just trying to get themselves together, he has to get himself together before he can help anybody else. You don't put that kind of pressure on somebody like that. So I was pissed, man. I was so fucking mad. I said, don't do that. I said, that's what we're not going to do. I said, don't ever compare him to me and don't compare me to him. Like we're two different people. We've always been two different people. So no, don't do that. And so yeah. I lied to you not, y'all. She ain't no joke. When I tell you toxicity is a mug. It's and yes, I could say it's mental illness. It plays a part because she's bipolar schizophrenic. Yeah, I get that. But then it's just borderline messy. You just borderline messy and problematic. There are functioning bipolar individuals as well as folks with depression, folks with schizophrenia. There are people who function. There are people who are business and not freaking be out here creating chaos and hell. You don't have to do all that. The devil is a lie. And the truth ain't in them. The ones that's out here creating, my mother is just she's a hell creator. That's all she do. Because so the next thing that she did was after all that played out, my brother comes and he also puts groceries. Now, every time I visit my mother, I put groceries in her house. It ain't but 2 of them in there. Why you don't got no food when I come back in here? Oh, because you balling off my money. You doing fish fries, cookouts, and everything else for these folks in the projects. But then when I come here, you ain't got nothing. And you think I'm going to keep So I did it like 3 or 4 times. I put groceries in. Then my brother came to town. My brother put groceries in. And my brother gave her money. Okay. It's never good enough. When my brother's here, he ends up getting into an altercation with a guy in the projects. And the guy is unloading the clip, shooting at my motherfucking brother. And the bullets are missing. Missing them. Y'all, I get the call. I'm like, I'm on my way. Oh, and I'm calling everybody and we coming because they know y'all shooting at my brother. You crazy? And he just visited. And so never could get to the bottom of it, but I knew it was something because I had just left from over there and nothing was going on. My brother was in the room going to sleep. Okay. So then I get that call and I'm like, nah, something ain't right. So I call my auntie in Alaska and my auntie blaming me. Oh, you let Sean drink and you know how he is when he get drunk and he over there cursing out the police and he out there fighting and whatnot. I said, man, when I left my brother, he was fine. I said, what you mean? I said, and I didn't do anything. I said, don't lie. I said, because mommy is the one who gave Sean the first drink. What you talking about? She ain't tell you that part, but she pushed it off on me because I had something to drink. I said, first of all, I'm grown. If I want to drink, I'm going to drink. I don't give a damn who around me. You ain't going to stop me. So she was like, yeah, she said you was going. I said, man, mommy gave Sean beer. Her and Sean was in there drinking beer. Now, that's something my grandmother never did. You don't drink around her, you don't smoke around her. And I don't see why my mother would do that. Just the same as my mother had my cousin smoking weed with, like, there's boundaries. Me and my aunt, I might curse in front of my aunt, but that's the extent of it. Drinking and smoking, I don't do that in front of nope. My aunt can't tell you she ever seen me do that. I don't do that, period. And so it was crazy how my mother was. And how she lied and said I was the reason why he had started drinking and acting crazy and stuff. That's not true. So I found out later on. It took like a couple of years later. I think it was last year in 2018 when my brother told me that the reason he reacted the way that he did was that mommy didn't tell that she had bought drugs and my brother had seen it and my brother had confronted the guy. And that's what happened. And so the guy started unloading the clip on my brother and the bullets was missing my brother. And one just had passed right by his face. And no bullets touched my brother. Thank God. That's the grace of God and my grandmother's prayers. I swear, no bullets touched him. And the guy clip was empty. And they was able to get him in the house before he could reload. And yeah. So I got my brother out of there. I told him, I said, man, you gotta go. Because I'm not gonna risk something to happen to you. So I told him to leave the next day. He had to go. And he did. He left and went to his baby mama house in Florida. But yeah, she never told that she was copping and he saw it. And that's what she made it seem like it was me and I was the one who triggered it. That's not what happened. Anyway, so then fast forward to 2017. I am in a complete crisis. I have hit rock bottom because I've allowed people to take. So now I'm in a position where I need some help and I can't get it. So at that time I was in a house, but I had to move out and I ended up in between places to stay. So I went and stayed with my baby daddy. And that didn't work out because I don't like his sister, and his sister don't like me, and I don't care, and she know I don't care, and I'll curse her out. So I like who she is when she's not being messy. She has a great heart, but she is messy, and she's mean for no reason, especially towards children. Granted, my daughter is not his, but you don't mistreat my children. I don't play about my children, period. Not at all. I don't play with them, and I don't play about them. Okay? So you mistreating my daughter, and I'm at work. That's my daughter crying every day. That was bugging my soul. So I humbled myself, and this is the lesson in all this. I humbled myself because now I find myself in a position, and I'm like, I know how my mother is going to react. I said, I know my mother. I said, it's going to cause she's gonna do the same thing to me that I did to her. I already knew it because she believes in that get back. So when I humbled myself, I went to her. I said, Ma, I said, I can't stay, or rather, I don't want to stay with Kesha, and knowing that she's mistreating my daughter while I'm at work. I said, I can pay you. I was like, I'm only going to be able to pay you a certain amount of money because I am trying to move. I said, and in order for me to do that, I need money. So I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working part-time at the job that I'm at now, full-time. And then I'm working full-time as a manager at CVS. So I was like, I'm stacking bread. I'm paying off bills and stacking. So before I could stack anything, my mother is taking. Every time I turn around, Kesha, I need a pack of cigarettes. Kesha, I need bill. And I'm like, Mom, I need gas. I got to have, I got to buy food. I put food in here for me and my kids. I said, I don't put food in here for you and your boyfriend. Not going to happen. He's grown. He got to get it how he lives. I was like, you welcome to eat. I was like, but I ain't paying for no grown man to eat. So, however it went, I gave her money, and I knew it was going to come to a head. The first time we got into an argument, I was at work. She's miserable creature. It is 4 of us in a bedroom, and then my mama and her boyfriend in the other bedroom. She had 2 bedrooms. I'm in a room with 3 children. All our stuff piled up or whatever, and then I had stuff in storage. So I am at work, and I had just that morning gave her money. I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, went to the bank, got the money out, and gave it to her. The rent for us staying there. And I was going to go to a grocery store, but I had to work. So I'm at work, and my phone ring. It's my brother. And I'm saying, Sean, what you calling me for? I said, I'm at work. I said, what? And he's snapping. Why the fuck mommy calling me, telling me that them kids don't have no food, and you ain't giving her no money, and you ain't doing what you're supposed to do as far as being in her house? I said, say what now? I had a customer. I said, hold on, sir. I got a cashier to come. And I went up to the office. And I said, nah, y'all, disclaimer, I'm about to start exactly how I said it. I said, what the fuck you talking about? I said, tell mommy to stop her fucking lying. I said, let me tell you something. I said, that hag ain't tell you that I gave her money this morning. I said, and no, I didn't go to the grocery store because I'm at work. I've been at work since 7 o'clock this morning, and I have to work a double. I was like, so I don't get off until 11 o'clock. I was like, so what the fuck is she talking about? I said, what you mean she called? He was like, man, I'm about to send her $50. I said, well, I tell you like this, dummy. I said, you send her the damn $50. I said, because $50 ain't even going to feed Jalen, Tiana, and Michael. I mean, Jalen, Tiana, and Justin. $50 don't fucking feed them. I said, what are you talking about? I was like, mommy want that $50 for her. I said, and she mad because I told her I'm not giving her nothing extra. At this time, I don't have any extra to give you. I'm hosting coupon classes. I'm in and out the house. I'm never there. Okay, for one, I don't eat. I just put the groceries in there and my kids eat. Okay, give me time to get to the grocery store. So I told him, I said, I'm at fucking work. I can't just leave work and go to the grocery store. I said, them kids will be fine until I get off from work. I said, matter of fact, on my way home from work, I can pick them up something to eat. I said, but as far as me leaving work, I'm not doing that because mommy got shit in there that she can cook. So that was the start of it. When I got home, she wanted to start arguing. I said, what the fuck you call Sean for? I said, what he gonna do? Can't make me do nothing. I said, and I gave you money this morning and I told you not to ask me for nothing else. I said, I don't care about your habits. You support your own habits. I said, and then I don't owe you nothing. I said, as far as groceries, them kids will be fine until I go to the grocery store tomorrow because I'm off from work. So at this point, the arguing is getting intense and my son, Justin, runs off and disappears. So I'm trying to wait for him and got to find him. I go upstairs. I said, Mom, you going to argue by yourself. I said, I'm not finna argue. I said, I've been at work all day and I'm not finna argue with you. I went upstairs. I said, whatever you say. Went upstairs and went in the room and I knew it was boiling then. At this time, I'm dating a guy and he calls in the morning while he's at work, before he goes in, he will call. So we're talking and stuff like that, keeping in contact or whatever. And she hears our conversations. She's always lurking somewhere, always trying to pick up little bits and pieces and never get the story straight. So she gonna take a little bit and run with it. So she starts talking, and then I was outside cleaning my car out, and a guy pulled up trying to talk to me. And she took that and ran with it, baby. That's all. She can't stand to think I'm dating nobody. She can't stand to think I'm even happy. I ain't never seen nothing like it. Now, I'm running out in the mornings. Like that particular morning, I had a coupon class that went all day. And I had to pick up supplies. I had to decorate and do baskets or whatever I was doing. And I had to call, make arrangements for things. And so she's spazzing out. You ain't never here. You ripping and running the street with a guy. Hold up, sis. What guy? Baby, I'm handling business, getting money. That's all I ever do. What guy you see me with? Cause you seen that guy trying to talk to me. I said, child, bye. And it's at the head now. Oh, it's coming to a head. I said, let me see something. I said, I don't give a fuck what you say. I said, I don't care. I said, it is what it is. And she was like, bitch, I'll take. I said, listen, I ain't finna be too many more bitches in front of my children. I said, don't disrespect me in front of my children. I said, because your mother would never do that to you. I said, and you ain't none of her because you don't care. You just say anything in front of my kids. I said, what is it for their grandmother to say? I said, matter of fact, what kind of grandmother are you? I said, you went in there and fixed you some food. And because I didn't do what you wanted me to do, you going to tell my kids to come up here and ask me to feed them? Well, what? You ain't doing nothing. I said, you don't know what I got going on. You don't know what I'm doing. I said, or you assume. I said, assumptions is deadly. I said, and then I said, you carrying on for what? I said, all it is you want me out the house because I did it to you. I said, so if that's the case, just tell me that. You ain't got to do all this. She said, I want you out my house now. Now. I was like, okay, let me get my stuff and we'll go. Man, she proceeds to start throwing all my stuff outside. Oh, I don't want nothing from your ass. You a shitty ass mother. You ain't never been no good mother to you. I said, and what have you been? I said, I've done far more than you've ever done. I was like, so for you to even say that, I said, whatever. I'm a shitty mom. I'll be that. You know, your son don't have but two shirts and 2 pairs of pants. And I'm saying to myself, sis, he ain't, that's because he's not even finna go to this school long, because the school he was going to was one where he had to wear a uniform. I had no intentions of staying. I was just waiting to find a place, and wherever I moved to, he was going to be able to wear his regular clothes. So no need to go buy a whole bunch of clothes for that. No uniforms or whatever. And she started throwing everything out. I said, that's fine. She gonna tell me they can stay, but you can get out. I said, man, let me tell you something. I ain't never moved like that. I said, where I go, when my feet move, so do my kids. You got me all the way messed up, home girl. You think I'm finna leave mine here? I said, I ain't never left my kids nowhere. So she threw everything out. So I just got all the stuff, put it. I said, y'all load up the van. I said, ain't nothing. I went and I, stayed in the hotel. Long story short, she thought that was gonna break me. She thought I was gonna fall. Like I told her, one thing about me, I'm a survivor. You've taught me that. That's the only lesson you ever taught me, how to survive and how to survive without you. So for me to do it, it's nothing. So it took me, that happened in November, right before, hold on y'all, I dropped my thing. Right before Thanksgiving, I moved into this apartment. It was a temporary stomping ground. I just wanted to get my kids situated in school and whatnot. But girl, you thought I was gonna fall because of that. But that's the level of toxicity to where you want to see your child falling. Like when I put you out because you were doing too much. You put me out because I was everything you wasn't, and you got a chance to see that. Like the grind in me. I'll go so hard when it come to work. I don't have to sleep. And I get my money legally. I don't never have to do nothing illegally. Like I tell people, I was blessed with a mind. So I use my mind. I don't use anything else but that. Even when it's down to just, no. I ain't finna do all that. And I don't put up with a whole bunch of stuff that I don't have to. Like, I'm not willing to sacrifice myself for no man, like my mother was doing. And I told her, I said, that's you that wait on a nigga's settlement check to come so you could live. That ain't how I live. I want to be able to get what I want, when I want, how I want it, and to sleep good at night and not have to worry about nothing. So any mistakes I made them because I made them, not because I allowed somebody else to put me in a situation I didn't want to be in. I'm not doing it. I did that when I was younger. I'm not doing it now. I'm too old and I have too many children for that. I am the example that I set for my children. So I don't want them to ever see that. But what my children can't tell you they seen their mother struggle. I struggled just like the next person and got on my feet. Was it easy? Hell no. Did I break down? Yeah. My kids ain't never see it though. Yeah. It's been rough. But the whole goal of my mother was like to intentionally tear me down. Like, nah. But then in the same breath, this is the toxicity part here. In the same breath that you'll tear me down will be the same one that to a stranger, when I turn my back, you raving. I got 1 out of 2 children doing something with their life. But didn't you just tell me I was a shitty mom? I don't do nothing. And yeah, I chase behind men. What man you see? You ain't even see me with no men. Hell, nobody ain't seen me with no men. Like, in years. Like, you... Girl, you got me messed up. I go to work, I mind my business. Plain and simple. I don't even mess with you. So, it was crazy, y'all. But, back to toxicity. It wasn't until 2013 that I realized, and it was monumental for me to realize that how women have daddy issues where they go and they get men who are exactly like their dad, or to get the love that they never got from their dad. I started dating men who were exactly or had very similar traits to my mother. So it wasn't a daddy issue, it was a mommy issue. Now, the only thing I can say is that my mother was monumental in teaching me how to survive without her. And if you can survive without your mother, you pretty much are accomplished. Nothing, you should be able to do anything. And because navigating the world without a mother is kind of hard. And so the only other thing my mother taught me is I've taken every negative and found a way to flip it to a positive. So if she was a shitty mom, I'm a better mom to my daughter. I have a better relationship with my daughter, a better relationship with my children. Where she never went to a school play, don't know what a report card looked like, never went to a graduation, I'm there for theirs. Everything that I wanted in my mother, I give to my children. I'm that mother who I always wanted somebody to tell me what was real. Like, tell me. So I tell my kids. And a lot of people will be like, why are you telling them? Because I have two choices. It's either I'm going to teach them how to sink or I'm going to teach them how to swim. I'd rather any day to teach mine how to swim so they don't drown in life and all its problems. I teach my children tenacity. Don't give up. If at first you don't succeed, keep trying until you get it. Something gonna happen. You know, I want them to learn those lessons. So my mother's been monumental in teaching me everything not to do. So I give her credit for that. I give her every bit of credit for teaching me how not to be. She wanted to be addicted to drugs. I've never smoked weed. I've never taken any pills, no extracurricular drugs. I've never done those things. My kids have never seen me do it. The only thing I do is drink. Yeah. So all that's like, all these are keys and monuments to becoming who I am. So this is what I'm telling you guys about toxic relationships. Do I love my mother? Yeah. Do I like her? No. I love her because that's what God calls us to do. I forgive her because that's for me. It's not for her. But am I going to be oblivious and keep running around here like I don't know who she is and what she's capable of? No. No, I'm not selling myself those dreams. I could sugarcoat it. I could flip it. I could turn it all kinds of positive ways. But I choose to see it exactly as it is. You know, we don't have a relationship, period. And the reason we can't have a relationship is because I know my limits. I cannot continuously I have to teach her how to treat me. So I can't continuously allow her to do things that jeopardize my peace of mind, my safety, the well-being of my children, things like that. I can't allow her to do that. And when she's in her dysfunction, I definitely don't want that around my children. So I keep away because my children have only ever known this level of peace where it's just me in the house. Now, granted, when they were younger, me and their dad had our problems and they seen that, but no, I'm at a point where now I want them to experience total peace, to know what it's like to be able to go in their home and it be a sanctuary and not a combat zone, you know. So I have to know my limitations. When you protect your energy, when you protect your peace, your space, you'll find more of it. So, and another thing is, you are not your circumstances. Just because your mother wasn't there, your daddy wasn't there, whoever is not there, it does not mean that you fall apart because they're not there. The strength is inside of you. You have to make up your mind that you are going to do more, be better, be greater. It's gonna be your fuel that you need to propel you forward to the next phase in your life. It's not for you to stand still and woe is me all day. You're not going to get anywhere like that. Have I arrived at my ultimate destination? Hell no. Hell no. Have I experienced setbacks? Yeah. Yep. Because of situations with my mother. You know, I've allowed all of her negative talk. I had to find a way to channel that. Because if I didn't flip it and turn it to something positive, I would actually buy what she was selling. I didn't. People will talk to you to lower your self-esteem, to wound you, because the tongue is far greater. It's the greatest weapon in the world. It injures you, and the injuries that you sustain because of the things that are said to you stay with you long after the person has died. You carry those. But what you have to do is know that that is not who you are. You have to know who you are and be comfortable with that. The next thing is, don't stay in a situation for any reason other than it genuinely being somewhere where you want to be. Now, if something is toxic, remove yourself. That's the only way. You have to get clarity, which means you have to be okay with telling yourself the truth. Okay? The truth may be that you love the person, but you don't like them. They're not adding anything to your growth, or they're not doing anything to propel you, to push you forward in a positive way. Eliminate it. If it does not serve you or grow you, get rid of it. Doesn't matter who it is. You know, I've had times when my brother was in his when my brother was in his addiction with alcohol and things like that, I stepped away until he got himself, you know, to a better place and where we could talk without arguing. It used to be that whenever me and my brother got on the phone, we would argue all the time, because my brother, sometimes I think he thinks I'm his mom. No, that's not how that goes. My brother has a lot of guilt because he feels like he left me for dead. And I told him, you didn't leave me for dead. You followed the path that you needed to follow for you. I was like, and as you can see, I'm still here. I'm good. I'm surviving. I've always done that. You know, that's what, you know, our grandmother taught us, how to survive. And I was like, so I'm okay. I said, it was hard. I said, but I made it. Shoot, I don't dwell on how hard it is. I just look back and be thankful that I made it. Like, shoo, okay. And I'm not saying that the next person doesn't have worse issues than me. And that's what keeps me going too, is that there's somebody out there dealing with something far worse than what I'm dealing with. But I want y'all to be aware of when somebody is toxic to you. If you do not genuinely feel good when you are around somebody, if they're constantly creating chaos in your life, let them go. And I mean, there was a time, because of what happened with me and my mom, I cut everybody off in order to gain clarity about who was supposed to be in my life and who wasn't. Sometimes when you go through your challenges, you have to go through them alone in order to see and to know. And so when I was going through what I was going through, I kind of just separated from everybody to get me right. Because if I'm not right, it ain't nothing I could offer nobody else. So all I did was, for the last year, I worked round the clock, nonstop. I'm always doing something. And it's because I know what I want for my future. I have a plan. I know what I want for my children. And so it requires me to work. And I'm okay with being uncomfortable for a little while. So yeah. But guys, it's real. And stop running around telling people who talk badly about their mom not to do so, because that may just be the way that they're releasing their pain and their anxiety and the stress around having a mother who's toxic. All mothers are not loving and nurturing. There are some cruel mothers out here. There are mothers who are in fact jealous of their children. There are mothers who genuinely want to see their child in pain because it gives them some weird twisted sense of whatever. It's really sadistic, actually. And it just, don't tell people that, because you don't know what they've been through. And yeah, that's your mother. But the thing is, I read somewhere, dogs give birth every day. That doesn't make them a mother. See, a mother is there no matter what. Your mother is not going to seek to harm you. They're only going to do what's best for you. A genuine. Are you going to get mad at some of the things you tell? Yeah. Are y'all going to disagree? Yeah. But the thing is, it's in love. It's not out of spite. It's not out of jealousy. It's not out of just pure meanness. And how I knew it wasn't me, I used to think it was me. And I used to think, Kesha, this is when you check yourself. I'm kind of like, well, Kesha, you are a little bit difficult. Maybe you guarded. Maybe you're causing this. Like, what's going on? So I went back and forth with myself to see if maybe I was a catalyst for it. Maybe I did something to trigger something with her. But what I came to realize was when my dad called me, and my dad said to me, he said, baby, he said, I don't know what you did to your mother. He said, but she is out to get you. He was like, and the way she's talking, like she's going to cause physical harm to you. He was like, and I'm scared for you. I said, scared for me for what? I said, I'm protected. Don't worry. I'm good. You know, and he was my father, that was the first time he had like some genuine concern for my safety and well-being. And he said, what did you do to her to make her hate you? He was like, because your mother really does hate you. And I was like, I don't know. I said, outside of telling her the truth and not bullshitting and sugarcoating like everybody else doing, and not catering to her and pacifying her because that's what she wants, and coddling her and enabling her, I'm not doing that. You have addict behavior, so therefore I'm not coddling you and enabling shit. Nothing. So no, I don't give you money to go out there and do no. And that's why she don't like me, because I'm the one who will tell you no. And yeah, I understand addiction. I understand psychology. I didn't go to school for nothing. I paid attention, you know, and I know people and behaviors. I actually wanted to be a psychiatrist. I work in mental health, clearly. So I deal with this type of stuff every day. So it's not foreign to me to understand her behaviors and the ideologies and, you know, the processes behind all of this. But it does not change the fact that I have to create healthy boundaries. You have to create healthy boundaries that teach people what you will and will not accept. And the only way for her to get it is when I completely cut her off and not speak to her. That's the only time that I don't have no problems. If my life is better without you in it, then I need to keep it that way. When you're in it, if you serve to create chaos and confusion, I don't need no parts of it. Just plain and simple. So learn to create boundaries, and how you create those boundaries is, no, I don't like when it is not okay for you to, you know, use words like that, terms like that with people to create those boundaries, and say no and be okay being silent if you need to be. Okay. So guys, that's all I wanted to talk about right now. And that's the majority of what's wrong with Queen Naija and Black China. You have people who feel like you owe them because they birthed you. No, I didn't ask to come here. So what do I owe you for? You know, children are not indebted to their parents. That's not how that goes. Like, you don't owe your parents anything. You can be courteous, you can be kind, you can be loving towards them. That doesn't mean you have to give until there's nothing left, or you have to give your last. There's no law that says that. If you do it because you want to, not because you feel obligated. There's no obligation there. My kids are not obligated to do a damn thing for me when they get older, and I don't expect it. So, like I said, guys, that's the majority of the problem. People feel like you owe them. When you don't conform and do what they want you to do, then it's a problem. No, I'm okay with being by myself. And I'm okay with not having a mom, because I had a very loving grandmother who showed me what real love is and unconditional love. So I'm okay in that aspect. I just tried to make amends with my mom for the sake of my children, so that they could have a grandmother and know who she was, and at least be able to say that they interacted with her. But yeah, no. Anyway, guys, I am going to end now because I have talked you guys to death. Share your stories. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll keep the videos coming and keep talking to y'all about some very real issues that's out here in the world. And just, again, guys, be mindful when you hear someone speaking in a negative manner about their mom. Don't tell them to censor what they say, or that God says, yeah, God says you have to love them. He does not say that you have to like them, and he doesn't say you have to be bothered. Respect them. I respect my mother. The best way for me to respect my mother is not to be in her presence, because I can be disrespectful. So no, my mouth is very disrespectful. So if I know my limitations to maintain that honor thy mother and, you know, thy father, I stay away. That's the easiest way. I promise, because she's the only person who has the capacity to take me out of my element. And because I know that, I don't give her that control over me. Because the person who can control your emotions, your thoughts, and your feelings can control you. Remember that. And that goes for anybody. So have a great day, guys.